How many of you are already retired? Thank you. How many of you are living out the retirement of your dreams? Oh, a few less. Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Charlie Redding, and I'm here to tell you today and teach you today the techniques and factors that will determine how happy you are in retirement. How many of you want to hear about that subject? Okay, brilliant. Before I do that, I just want to say a big thank you for inviting me here today to speak to you. As part of what I teach in terms of retirement planning, I believe that time is our most valuable resource. I believe that because it doesn't matter how much money you've got and how many fast cars you've got, you can't buy any more time, and you can't enjoy things like love and money and relationships if you don't have enough time. So I just want to say thank you for inviting me here today. So today I want to teach you about the techniques and give you a greater understanding of how you can maximise your money in retirement to make sure you don't run out and to make sure it can deliver all of the things that you want during your lifetime. But I also want to teach you about how you can achieve a balanced life that leaves you feeling fulfilled and rewarded. And also finally I want to talk to you about how you can build a healthy body and mind that can actually see you through the retirement of your dreams. How many people would be interested in learning about that? Okay, brilliant, thank you. Since we're going to be spending the next 45 minutes together, would it be okay if I tell you a little bit more about me? Okay, brilliant, thank you. So I've been giving financial advice for over 15 years now. I'm a chartered financial planner, which puts me in the top 10% of all advisors in the UK, and I run a really successful chartered financial planning business called Efficient Portfolio that are based in Rutland and London, and they're placed in the top 7% of all advisory businesses in the UK. Now, some 15 years ago, I joined an industry that was as part of a commission-hungry sales force. And it didn't take me long to realise that I had found the right type of industry for me, but the wrong part of it. So gradually over the years, I moved towards working on a more self-employed basis. And then when I set up Efficient Portfolio in 2005, I really started spending longer with the clients and really understanding what their concerns were and what their opportunities were. And it was really as a result of this that I started to realise that actually retirement is much more than just about pensions. It's much more than just being about the money. It's actually much more about the whole encompassing element of retirement. And there's several key factors that influence that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. By the way, how many people have noticed that I'm asking a lot of questions? How many people are getting annoyed by the fact that I'm asking a lot of questions? Okay, thank you for your honesty. I've spent quite a lot of time studying what's called accelerated learning. And in 1969, a guy called Edgar Dale did a lot of research on training and teaching. And one of the things he established was if I give you a serious financial presentation about pensions, you'll probably retain about 10% of what I tell you. But if I teach you with energy and enthusiasm and get you to participate and use your energy too, you'll probably retain about 70% of the information. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to ask you to participate in our learning today because it will be for your benefit and you will remember more of what we do. Is that okay? Hello? Okay, brilliant. Thank you. And that's because learning requires energy. So if we give energy towards our learning, we will learn much more. So I believe there are 6 key elements to a happy retirement. The first is your purpose. So many people have their purpose based around the job that they do, that when they retire, they lose their purpose, they lose their way, and that causes them to be seriously unhappy. The next and obvious one is money. Now, of course, lots of people have money concerns in the lead up to and at retirement. Am I going to run out? am I not going to be able to do the things I've planned all my life to do? The third element is balance. Now, balance is about the balance of activities that you do on a day-to-day basis, because actually this is what will ultimately lead to how much you enjoy your retirement. The fourth is your health. Lots of people have sacrificed their health over their working life because they just haven't had time. But in retirement, that's going to catch up with you pretty quickly. So we'll have a look at how health can determine how happy you are. During your working life, your mind is being stimulated on a day-by-day basis. But in retirement, it's all too easy to let that gradually die. And your mind and brain is like a muscle. If it's not exercised regularly, it will wither away like any other muscle. So we need to keep the mind active. And then finally, the sixth aspect of a happy retirement comes down to your relationships. And your relationships can be put under significant amounts of strain when you retire. And so it's worth bearing those in mind and understanding those problems, because that in turn will allow you to manage them much more effectively. So, as I said, there's 6 key areas to what will lead to a happy retirement. And I want to talk about each of these in a little bit of detail. Now, we don't have a lot of time today, so I can't go into a lot of detail. But the first one was purpose. And with purpose, I want to talk to you about a guy called Samuel Pierpont Langley. Now, has anybody heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? Okay, no, that's not that surprising actually. Samuel Pierpont Langley was the man tasked by the US government to create the world's first flying machine. He was given $50,000, which in his day was a significant amount of money. He sat at Harvard, and he was part of the Smithsonian Institute, and he had a number of amazingly well-connected friends and people that were to help him with this task, including the likes of Dale Carnegie, one of the most successful business owners of his time. He was also followed around by the Times, so he had the capital, the knowledge and team, and also the media coverage to really make this go. So why isn't it that we know anything about Samuel Pierpont Langley? And why is it that actually Orville and Wilbur Wright are the people that we know about? Because only a few miles away in Dayton, Ohio, they were working with a team of people, none of which, including Orville and Wilbur, had a college education. They were funding it from the profits of their bicycle shop. And yet, because they had a purpose, they had a drive, they had a reason to drive forward, that is why we know about the Wright brothers creating the world's first flying machine. Now, before we go on, what I'd like you to do is take a minute to think about a particular exercise. What I'd like you to do is imagine you had all the money you need to be financially secure for the rest of your life. Money is no object. Really go to town on this one. What I want you to do is just spend a minute writing about how you would live your life differently if you had all the money that you needed to be financially secure for the rest of your life. And begin. And stop. Now, when I first moved to London, which was after I finished university and finished travelling around the world, myself and 2 friends, both females, although I'm sure that won't be a factor in the stories I'm about to tell you, decided we were going to drive to London. Now, I had never lived in London before, and I'd certainly never been to Brighton before. So we decided that we would set off, and because there was a party in Brighton that we'd got some friends going to. Now, stupidly, we didn't have a map in the car. It was before the days of Google Maps on iPhones, and it was certainly before the time of ever owning a sat-nav. So we set off, but we thought, well, we know that we're based in Chiswick, we're in West London. As long as we head roughly south from here, we should be absolutely fine. So we set off, and if any of you know what driving in London is like, it's quite difficult to do that unless you see a signpost at the end of your road. So we made a couple of key errors along the way, and suddenly, an hour and a half into the journey, and by the way, it should only take an hour and a half to drive from London to Brighton, we realised actually we were still nowhere near even heading in the direction of Brighton. We'd gone off on a completely different route. So we stopped at a garage, and much to the amusement of the cashier, we asked him if we could A, buy a map, and B, if he could tell us where on it we actually were. So after about a 4.5 hour round trip, we managed to get to Brighton. Now, what happened there was that we didn't plan the route in advance, and we didn't have anything to keep us on track on the way. So we ended up getting hopelessly lost, and had we not admitted defeat, which being a male, obviously I was reluctant to do when it came to asking for directions, we would have probably never got anywhere close, and we'd have ended up miles and miles and miles from where we intended. Now, when it comes to managing your money, people actually go about managing their money in exactly the same approach as we did trying to drive to Brighton. Because what they do is they only really look at the next corner. They can look in their rearview mirror and see the mistakes they made behind them, but they don't really ever get any long-term clarity. And so what we needed on that day was we really needed to sit down and say, well, okay, we look at the map beforehand, this is where we are, this is the route we're going to take, and these are the key routes that we need to aim for. And if we'd been organised, we'd have written out a route plan. Even better would have been if we'd had a sat-nav, because that not only would have done the planning for us, but also if we made a mistake along the way, it would have told us, and it would have corrected us, and it would have given the clarity as to how long that journey was going to take and what was the next turn. So when it comes to managing your money, what is your sat-nav? Well, your sat-nav is actually a thing called a lifetime cash flow forecast. A lifetime cash flow forecast models your life from a financial perspective to see whether you're heading to Brighton or whether you're heading to Portsmouth. And so a lifetime cash flow forecast can just give you the clarity of how you've set up your future financially, but also it can highlight the impact of decisions you make today on your future. So who would like to see an example of a lifetime cash flow forecast? Okay, brilliant. In that case, I'll show you. So a lifetime cash flow forecast shows you two key things. It shows you lots of other things, but there's two key things that I want to just draw your attention to. The first is your income versus your expenditure. Now, we all know that we can't spend money that we don't have. Cash flow is king. So what this highlights is whether you're going to have as much income as your retirement. So you see this black line at the top here is the amount of income you need, and these blue blocks are the income. So in this example, they have enough income to meet their expenditure for the rest of their life, or whether they're going to start running out of money later on. So here you can see their expenditure is lower than their income, but also you can see that in retirement they have insufficient money. And the second key chart that a lifetime cash flow forecast shows is the liquid assets that are in the background. So this is the amount of money that is going on in the background whilst you're drawing that income. And you can see again here, in this situation, the person's money is gradually growing, whereas in this situation, he's running out quite rapidly. Now, obviously, I haven't got a lot of time to go into much detail on the lifetime cash flow forecast, but you can see, hopefully, the amount of clarity that this can give you when applied to your own financial situation. The second thing is the power of a wrap platform. Now, traditionally, people have held their investments on lots of different companies some in ISAs, probably several pensions, maybe several sets of shares or funds. And what we do nowadays, because that caused so many problems in terms of levels of administration, trying to keep track of all the different things, is we manage it on what's called a wrap platform. Now a wrap platform just sits over and above those different tax wrappers. So you still get the tax benefits of things like a pension, ISA, but you can manage it in one centralised place. You have access to pretty much every investment in the whole market, but once you've built that investment strategy, it can be applied to all the different investment accounts. You can monitor the performance much more effectively, you can manage your income much more effectively, and it just brings a whole layer of simplicity onto what was previously quite a complicated situation. So managing your money on a wrap platform brings significant power to your elbow. And of course, once the money's in the platform, you need to make sure it's invested properly. Now, a problem that most people have is they keep too much money in cash. And if we look at this chart here, we can see that this is the real value of money. So this is taking inflation into account. And this is what's happened to a normal savings account over the last few years. So if you don't invest your money properly, it's going to go down. But if you do invest your money properly, it will actually go up in real terms over and above inflation. The final thing I want to talk to you, or two final things I want to talk to you about money, are with all the changes that have happened to pensions in the last 12 months, we've got much more flexibility to manage your income in a way that delivers you the retirement you want. And so we can get much smarter. Instead of giving you a flat income for the rest of your life, which assumes that you need the same level of income age 95 that you do at 65, which is completely ridiculous, to actually saying, well, okay, I want to design life so that I can do my bucket list in the years where I'm fit and able to. A client of ours, for example, his wife has rheumatoid arthritis. She's unlikely to be able to walk in 5 years' time, so they want to front load their retirement with all the amazing things that they want to do, but know that they're not going to run out of money later on. So by flexing your income in a different way, you can empower things like that. Then the final thing, which we really haven't got time to talk about today, is leaving a legacy rather than just a will. And that's obviously a real key thing to making sure that A, you've got enough money for you, but B, what's left over goes to the people that you love. So I want you to get your pens ready again. And this time I want you to think about if you went to see the doctor and the doctor said you've got between 5 and 10 years left to live. Now you're not going to feel sick during this time, but you're also not going to know when your time is up. How would you live your life differently now? Again, you have 1 minute to answer that, please, and begin. And stop. Thank you. Right, before we continue, could I ask you to please stand up? Take a deep breath so that you get all the air right into the bottom of your lungs and your stomach's going out. And again. And take a seat. Thank you. Okay, so the third element I want to talk to you about that leads to a happy retirement is the balance of your life. Now, as well as running a successful financial planning business, I also have a service office business which is called the Rural Business Community. And you'll see on the picture here that there's a redundant, this barn that you can see a photo of was completely redundant, not been used for 20 or 30 years, and it was sat on a farm that I'm lucky enough to live on. And so decided that we were going to convert this into an office. Now, this is bigger than Efficient Portfolio needed, so I wanted to create an office where we could have lots of other small businesses growing and really creating quite a vibrant community. So I went through a couple of years where I was doing planning applications. I was working in my financial planning business 9 to 5. I'd go home, see my 2 daughters, have dinner with my wife, and then I'd go back to work and I'd be doing planning applications, I was doing appeal applications. We were eligible for grant funding, so I spent a massive amount of time putting together that, doing business plans, and then when we were in the build stage, making sure that actually they were building and delivering what we needed for the business. So I had a couple of years where I was doing 2 jobs, and whilst I found this massively rewarding because planning businesses I just absolutely love, what I found is over time I started getting really down and I started questioning what was going on. And what I realised was that actually, even though I was spending all of my time doing an amazing thing that I loved, what I'd done is I'd sacrificed the balance of my life. I'd stopped playing squash, I'd stopped playing golf, I'd stopped reading as many books as I used to read. And because I'd lost the balance of my life, I was actually not getting the satisfaction out of it. Now, the problem that a lot of people have at retirement is that by giving up work, they give up part of what's given them balance in their life. And so, as a result, you need to think about the different activities that you do that give you balance in your life. Now, one of the things, and by the way, that's how the offices now look. So one of the things I want to touch on here is a concept that was created by a guy called Tony Robbins. And because he talks about the fact that there's 6 human needs, and these 6 human needs determine how happy we are. Because we need certainty. Now, when in retirement, that's never as important as at retirement. So with certainty, what I mean is that we need to know that we've got enough money to live on for the rest of our life. As an example, there's lots of other areas that you need certainty in retirement. We also need variety. If you do the same thing day in, day out, you will get bored. So you need to build variety into your week in retirement. Now we need significance. Now lots of people get significance from their working life, particularly people in the military, or particularly policemen, or particularly people that run their own business. And very often when people retire, they lose that significance. So we need to think about how that might be compensated for. Now the 4th human need is connection and love. And of course, that's absolutely key to happiness for almost everybody. And with the relationships change quite a lot where we come to retirement, but I'm going to touch on that a bit later on. If you've got the first 4 human needs satisfied, there's 2 more that can really deliver true happiness. The first is contribution, whether that be mentoring somebody, whether that be contribution to your community, contribution to your family, but certainly that can add significant happiness in retirement. And then finally, there's growth. Now, as I've already said, the brain is a muscle, it needs exercising. It's a commonly used phrase, but if you're not growing, you're dying. And so it's vital that you continue to identify ways that you can grow and learn to ensure that you continue to move forward, but also you continue to be happy. So the third exercise I'd like you to do for now is I'd like you to imagine that you go back to see your doctor. Now this time your doctor's got worse news. This time your doctor says that you've only got 24 hours left to live. Now what I'd like you to think about is, what will you be thinking about within that 24 hours? What did you not get to do? Looking back over your life and also looking forward, what did you not get to do? What did you not get to be? What did you miss? So again, you've got 1 minute to think about and write some answers for that. And begin. And stop. Thank you. So, the next key pillar of what delivers a happy retirement is your health. Now, 4 years ago, I went on a workshop called Unleash the Power Within. This is famous for, it's hosted by a guy called Tony Robbins, who I mentioned earlier, and it's been attended by many celebrities. About 6,000 people go. It's the most amazing event I've ever been to. But one of the things, and what it's most famous for, is for doing the fire walk. Now, you do the fire walk on the first night of a 4-day event. So it's really quite intimidating to do that at such an early stage with not that much time to prepare for a fire walk. But certainly walking across hot coals makes you realise that really you can achieve anything. And one of the things that I kind of got from this event is that I really started looking at myself saying, if I want to be happy and healthy in the future, I've really got to change the way I live. Now, I wasn't wildly unhealthy at that point, but one of the things that I did realise was actually I could be significantly more healthier. And if I didn't do that now, gradually a little bit of unhealthiness each year was going to compound massively over a 20-year period. So what I did was I set about, and by the way, Carol, my wife, came on this with me, so we've done this together. We set about just changing a few little things to become much healthier. And it had a massive impact. 4 years on, I've had one cough in that 4 years. My 2 daughters, which are aged 5 and 8, so they pick up as many germs as they do toys probably, haven't had one day off school in that time. And I live life with far more energy than I've ever had before. And so there's 6 key things that I've worked out since attending this course that I think are the key influencing factors for having a much healthier life without it really spoiling all the fun. And so those 6 key steps are to live a life that creates energy. There's certain things that you can do that will create a massive amount or massive increase in your natural energy. And with natural energy, you'll have the enthusiasm and get up and go and do a whole load of other things, which will only help your health further. One of the interesting ones that I hadn't understood about until more recently was deacidifying your blood. There's lots of things that we consume that cause our blood sugar levels to spike and to fall, but also to acidify our blood. And acidifying our blood actually causes it to be thicker and more gloopy. It should be slightly alkaline. And so if you can start to neutralise that acidity and actually take it slightly back towards alkaline, you will start to again feel much better in yourself and have more energy. One tip there that you can take is by putting a slice of lemon in the water you drink. It sounds ridiculous because obviously lemon is acidic, but the effect it has on the blood is to gradually turn it more alkaline. But there's lots of other things that you can do there. Obviously we don't have time to touch on them all now. The next is the combinations of the food that you eat. By eating the wrong combinations of food together, it really messes up your digestive system, and you can't get some of the nutrients that you need even when you're eating the right food if you're eating it with the wrong things. So the way you combine your food is really important, and a perfect example of this is if you have a roast dinner. If you replace your roast potatoes with sweet potatoes, you'll feel a lot more awake afterwards than you otherwise would have done. Reducing your toxins. In this day and age, there's so many ways that we can build up toxins in our body, whether that be aluminium, parabens, all sorts of different things. There's lots of things that you can do to reduce your exposure to that and reduce the build-up over time. You can set simple rules for life. In fact, when asking somebody that had lost 4 stone in weight recently, what his change was, the most important thing for him was creating simple rules. And in our one-day workshop, what we'll do is we'll help you create simple rules that can allow you to live a healthy life without it impacting on your daily life. And then finally, it's designing exercise and picking exercises that are right for you and getting you off on the right track. Because it's all very well saying, you know, my friend does cycling, therefore I'm going to do cycling, or he does Ironmans, therefore I'm going to do Ironmans. No, you know, you're going to go to retirement. There's not many people at retirement that are going to do Ironmans. So you've got to get a fitness regime that's right for you, but you've got to pick the right types of exercises that complement each other, that actually aid your fitness and your health, because some will actually slow you down. The next key factor, and again we don't really have a lot of time to talk about this, to aiding your enjoyment in retirement, is your mind. If you're not growing, you're dying. You need to continue your learning, and how you structure your retirement will massively, with regards to how much you're learning, will also massively affect how much you enjoy life and how fulfilled you feel with your life. An example of an activity that can really start to help you is playing bridge, for example. Now, when we look back at those 6 human needs that I talked about earlier, one of the things I failed to mention was if an activity gives you 3 of those 6 human needs, you're likely to become addicted to it, whether it's a good activity or a bad activity. So let's think about bridge and what it does for you. Well, first thing is, it allows you to meet people, it allows you to play a game, and it allows you to get better and better. So when those 6 human needs, you're stretching your mind, so you're getting better and better at a particular game, so that's giving you growth. What you're also doing is you're meeting and socialising with other people, which is giving you connection. But also you're playing a game, which is going to be different every time, so you're getting variety from it as well. So bridge is a fantastic activity because it stimulates 3 of our human needs, but most importantly with regards to this specific part of the talk, it's stimulating your mind. So now I want to talk about relationships. Amazingly, relationships get put onto a lot of strain in retirement. And an example I can give you here is that a client of mine was a very senior person in the military. Now, he'd go away from home for long periods of time. And of course, when he came back from work for sort of a 2-week spell, his wife had made sure the house was organised, the children were really lovely to him and delighted to see him, he was the centre of attention, his friends all wanted to get together with him, life was perfect. He then retired, and he thought that what he'd experienced coming home was normal life. But of course, once he's home full time, the house isn't organised the way it was all the time, his friends have got other things to do, his children have got their lives to lead, and actually he's missing significance in a big way because he's come from an environment where everybody said yes when he did it, when he said jump, they said how high. So suddenly you can see it can put a massive amount of strain on a relationship. And there is certain factors that knowing this in advance that will allow you to anticipate these sorts of problems and work better with those that you love to ensure that your relationships aren't adversely affected by this. So I've just got a couple of more minutes to tell you about one last thing, but before we do that, can I ask you to stand up and stretch, go to the left and to the right, and again take a seat. Thank you. Okay, so how many of you realise that there is an awful lot to learn about how you can enjoy a happy, healthy and rewarding retirement? Okay, brilliant. Well, would it be okay if I spent a couple of minutes with you just explaining a one-day workshop that we have that teaches people more about these specific subjects? Okay, brilliant, thank you. So the name of our retirement programme is the Dream Retirement Workshop. This is designed to really show you how to maximise your money in retirement, so understand the cash flow forecast and really focus on building your bucket list. It's also designed to show you how to build a life of balance and fulfilment, And also it's designed to show you how you can live a healthy, have a healthy body and mind, so that you can facilitate an amazing retirement, an amazingly long retirement as well. How many people, just to give me an idea, how many people think that might be of interest to them? Okay, brilliant, thank you. So, what you'll learn on this retirement is all about the key factors that we've just talked about. We'll focus on really trying to deliver you and doing some practical exercises that will show you how you can enjoy your retirement. Now, over the years, I've helped literally hundreds of people retire, including some that have come to me saying, I'm being forced to retire, but I haven't earned, I haven't saved enough money to be able to do that. And we've successfully showed them how they could retire, and also successfully showed them how they could live out the things that were really important to them. Now, the one-day workshop is going to be based in Rutland, and it's going to be in the summer. Now, we haven't agreed a specific date and venue at the moment, but if you're interested, then we'll let you know as soon as that's agreed, which will be in the next week or two. Now, just some of the stuff that goes into this seminar is from the different courses that I've attended. Now, I've mentioned one in particular today already, but I've spent, in the last few years, over £50,000 on different learning and training. And what I've done is I've distilled a lot of really important factors from that training into this workshop. So the Dream Retirement Workshop is the regular price is £997. Now, and this includes an amazing, energising lunch, which will really show you how to eat fantastically well. Now, I appreciate that this workshop is not going to be ideal for everybody. So, if this isn't for you, I'm about to publish a book. It'll probably get published in the summer, I think. It's just getting edited now. So if you don't think that the workshop is right for you, but you do want to read more about this subject, then please let's have your details, and we'll let you know when the book's available. Alternatively, you may be thinking, well, actually, all this is very interesting, but really I want to get straight to the money. And if that's the case, then probably an exploration meeting with us at Efficient Portfolio would be the most effective way of achieving that. But what I did do was I said to the organiser of this event that I would put together a package for you that was really as compelling as it could possibly be, and give you a really good deal. He drove a very hard bargain, actually. So what I've done is I've put together a deal whereby if you do want to come to our one-day workshop, which, as I say, the regular price is £997, and that's per person. We would normally charge £597 for, and if you want to bring another family member as well. There's obviously the Dream Retirement book, which is £20, and there is something I haven't really mentioned yet. We have a membership, online membership site, which again gives you ongoing support for your retirement. So a year's membership of that is worth £324. But what we'll be able to offer you guys today is, if you're interested in signing up for this package, then we could do the whole package. So that's 2 people, you and a loved one or a friend, on the workshop, the book, and a year's membership to the website. Total value is £1,938, but because you're on this seminar today, we can actually do that for you for £597. So if you're interested in that, please complete the bright yellow form that you have in front of you. Either way, please complete that, because we'd really love some feedback as to what you valued from this talk, and equally what wasn't in this talk that you wish had been. And any other suggestions you give us, really very much appreciated. All it leaves me to do is thank you for giving us your valuable time. Just remember, if you do the same today as you did yesterday, you'll get the same results tomorrow as you got today. So thank you very much. My name's Charlie Redding, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you.